You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
The IT world used to be simpler. You only had to secure and manage environments that you controlled. Then came new technologies and new ways to work. Now, employees, apps, and networks are everywhere. This means poor visibility, security gaps, and added risk. That's why Cloudflare created the first-ever connectivity cloud. Visit cloudflare.com to protect your business everywhere you do business.
We all know by now that a trip to space changes people. Even if it's a really brief sojourn, space travel has a profound impact on your point of view. That is one of the unique selling points for space tourism, after all. And now we have a bit more knowledge on how exactly a short-term trip to space changes travelers on a cellular level.
T-minus 20 seconds to LOS egress. Go for deploy. Roger roll.
Today is June 12th, 2024. I'm Maria Varmazis, and this is T-minus. New research explores how space affects human bodies. Apex raises $95 million in a Series B funding round. Viasat to roll out a new space connectivity service for oil and gas customers. And our guest today is Vinita Marwaha Madill, engineer and founder of Rocket Women. It's Wednesday, everyone. Let's take a look at our Intel briefing. And it's thanks to the crew of the Inspiration 4 mission that we have a much better understanding of the impact of space on human biology, even for people who are only in space for a brief amount of time. The suite of space biology research called the Space Omics and Medical Atlas, or SOMA package of manuscripts, was published yesterday in the Nature portfolio. The SOMA package is 44 scientific papers in all, and is the culmination of a massive collaboration between over 100 institutions in over 25 different countries, studying molecular, cellular, physiological, phenotypic, and spaceflight data, including samples collected from the Inspiration 4 crew, whose mission flew in 2021. And the idea behind this research is that while most space biology research centers on professionally trained astronauts who spend many years in training, culminating in months-long stays in space, the all-civilian Inspiration 4 crew received just a few months of training for 3 days in space. So this new research helps us better understand the potential impacts of space on the biology of space tourists, which will in turn help everyone build better space systems that will carry private space travelers to space and house them there. It is not easy to sum up the findings of 44 scientific papers, so I'll just give some extremely high-level tasters here. Yes, even just 3 days in space resulted in changes to the Inspiration 4 crew on a cellular and genetic level in ways that are similar for astronauts in longer-term missions. Changes to skin, muscle loss, signs of spaceflight-induced kidney dysfunction, DNA damage, and immune system changes were also observed. Thankfully, it seems that within a few months of returning home from space, everyone's health changes seem to have stabilized. The human capacity to bounce back is pretty amazing. So, for short-term space travel at least, it seems that the health risks aren't too bad. A sigh of relief for any of you with upcoming space tourism plans. The SOMA package of space biology research is a pretty epic collection of research, so definitely take a look at the page and dive on in. The link for you is in the show notes. California-based spacecraft manufacturing company Apex has raised $95 million in a Series B funding round. The company says that the new funding will help both expand the company's family of productized satellite buses and produce them at industry-leading scale. The company says it's keen to hire the best talent working in both tech and aerospace, and will be hiring for a number of roles this year. Apex recently opened a new factory that will allow the company to dramatically step up production. Viasat's Energy Services division has launched a purpose-built managed communication service for remote oil and gas customers. The service aims to significantly expand the capacity and capabilities of its enterprise-grade connectivity service. And the service will incorporate low Earth orbit satellite capacity alongside Viasat Energy Services' existing multi-orbit and terrestrial capacity. The enhanced service is expected to be available early in the third quarter of this year. The U.S. Space Agency has selected 3 proposals for concept studies of missions to investigate space weather. The 3 concepts are part of the DYNAMIC mission. And here we go with an acronym. DYNAMIC stands for the Dynamical Neutral Atmosphere Ionosphere Coupling Mission. And it's designed to study how changes in Earth's lower atmosphere influence our planet's upper atmosphere, where space weather like auroras and satellite disruptions are manifested. This knowledge will benefit humanity by helping us understand how space weather can interfere with crucial technology like navigation systems and satellites. Each proposal will receive $2 million for a concept study from NASA's 2023 appropriation. NASA's Wallops Flight Facility supported the launch of a suborbital sounding rocket earlier today for the Missile Defense Agency's Naval Surface Warfare Center, Port Hueneme Division's White Sands Detachment, and other Department of Defense organizations. Wallops, which is a subset of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, is NASA's only owned and operated launch range. No further details of the launch were shared at the time of our recording. Boeing has announced that it will lease the C.C. and Hyatt Brown Center for Aerospace Technology, located in Embry-Riddle's Research Park on the university's Daytona Beach campus. Boeing and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University say that the new center will bring 400 high-paying jobs to Volusia County, Florida, through 2026. New employees at this state-of-the-art center of excellence will perform engineering work for Boeing's defense, space, and security aircraft programs and advanced technology capabilities. The center, which has been under construction for the last 2 years, will open for business by fall of 2024. The Federal Aviation Administration held 3 in-person public scoping meetings today as part of its process to prepare an environmental impact statement for the proposed SpaceX Starship operations at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. A 4th meeting will be held tomorrow, June 13th, and 1 virtual meeting will be held on June 17th. The FAA is looking for public comments on the process and asks that all comments are submitted no later than June 24th, 2024. We've added a link to sign up for project updates in our show notes for you. And the Global Spaceport Alliance organized a panel to present on Capitol Hill today about the growing importance of spaceports to the world economy. Legislators and staffers heard from representatives from Space Florida, the Virginia Spaceport Authority, Houston Spaceport, and Spaceport America about the value that their facilities bring to the regions that they serve. They also spoke to their challenges in establishing a firm foothold in the national economy, requesting a clear national spaceport policy that would provide funding for infrastructure, just as the U.S. has done for airports, seaports, railways, and highways. The panel discussed potential changes to laws, policies, and regulations that would provide support for commercial space transportation research, human spaceflight training, and prospects for point-to-point transportation through space. And we will be sharing the recording from that discussion on Saturday's Deep Space, so definitely keep an ear out for it. And that concludes our briefing for today. You can always find links to further reading on all the stories that we've mentioned in our show notes. And we've added 2 additional stories in there today. One's from the Washington Post on software nerds being the new heroes of spaceflight. And there's another one. This one's a heartwarming story on Sunny Williams calling the elementary school named after her in Needham, Massachusetts, from space. It's a super cute story with a really cute video, so definitely go check it out. Hey, T-Minus crew, if you find this podcast useful, please do us a favor and share a 5-star rating and a short review in your favorite podcast app. That will help other space professionals like you to find the show and join the T-Minus crew. Thank you for your support, everybody. We really appreciate it.
now, a word from our sponsor, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Cyber attackers are using AI in creative ways to compromise users and breach organizations. In a security landscape where you must fight AI with AI, the best AI protection comes from having the best data. Zscaler has extended its zero-trust architecture with powerful AI engines that are trained and tuned by 500 trillion daily signals. Learn more about Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI to prevent ransomware and AI attacks. Experience your world secured. Visit zscaler.com/zerotrustai.
Today's guest is Vinita Marwaha Madill, space engineer and founder of Rocket Women. And I started by asking Vinita to tell me about her career and what led her into mentorship.
I've always loved space since I was young. And I remember being in the library when I was 6 or 7 years old with my mum. And I tried to find every book about space that I could. And in one of the books that I saw an image of a young woman with brown hair in a spacesuit. And the spacesuit had a British flag on the arm, which I've never seen before. So I'm used to seeing pictures of NASA astronauts or space shuttle missions. And the caption next to it said that this is Helen Sharman, and she's the first British astronaut. And I think for me, in that moment, it really showed me that my dreams were possible and that I could be an astronaut in the future. And so I ended up studying maths and physics with astrophysics at King's College London. And then whilst I was there, I heard about an incredible organization called UK SEDS, which is the UK Students for the Exploration and Development of Space. And it was through UK SEDS that I really met space engineers for the first time, including somebody that I ended up working with later on at DLR, which is the German Aerospace Center, which was incredible. And so going on through my career, I also did a degree at Cranfield University in astronautics and space engineering as well. It's really applying the initial knowledge I had in physics and maths into engineering, and then also went on to the International Space University to study space management and do the summer space studies program there. The space studies program is a program that's it's done over the summer, and this year it's in Houston in Texas, which is incredible. And it's really an overview of the space industry. So you get to be taught by these remarkable lecturers from space agencies and also commercial companies all around the world. So everything from space management, economics, business, physics, engineering, so the technical side, but also the other skills you need to learn to really understand the space industry in its whole. And it was whilst I was there that I really got the bug to work on spacesuit design. And so after I completed my master's degree at ISU, there's also a internship portion at the end of that. And so I hunted for a spacesuit project around the world that I could work on. So I found one in the end at the European Space Agency. And I was really lucky to be accepted to work on the project initially as an intern and then as a consultant as well later on. And so it's a skin suit project. And what the suit does, it's when astronauts are in space, they lose some of their bone mass and muscle mass, and they also undergo something called spinal elongation. So astronauts also grow a few centimeters in space during the 6-month missions. And that can be quite painful for them as well. And that impacts their spinal health. And so we looked at designing a suit that would mitigate some of those circumstances that they undergo and basically squeezes the astronauts all the way from their shoulders down to their feet, essentially recreating the effect of gravity on their skeleton as well. And so it's been incredible to have worked on their project initially from its prototype, whilst I was at ESA at the European Astronaut Center, to now actually see it being used on the space station as well by ESA astronauts. And then I ended up working at the German Aerospace Center on ISS payload operations, so working on retraining and training the astronauts to use these incredible experiments on board the International Space Station, helping to design those experiments as well. And before I moved to Canada, where I am now, I worked at the European Space Agency's Technology Center in the Netherlands as an operations engineer working on future human spaceflight projects, including the European Robotic Arm. And that's a 11 and a bit meter long robotic arm that we worked on the operations side. So that included things like training the cosmonaut instructors. So it's now attached to the Russian part of the station technically. And now it's actually being used on the space station as well to help astronauts carry out spacewalks and move them around the space station as complementary to the Canadarm that's already there, and also to help bring payloads out as well from the space station. And now I'm based in Ottawa in Canada, and I work at Mission Control. So we're a software company that works on software for the Earth and also space missions as well, including lunar missions. And so I work there mainly looking at and focused on the educational outreach projects at the moment, including something called the Rover Driving Academy, which with the Canadian Space Agency. So that allows Canadian students from all around across Canada to actually remotely use the same software that we use for actual space missions called Spacefarer to remotely operate rovers that we have in something called a moon yard, which is a large room that we have in Ottawa, Canada, attached to our office that looked essentially like the moon, that we use for rover testing and also use for as data sets to train the AI algorithms that we use to classify the lunar terrain, for example. So we have lots of use cases for it. But for the outreach part, we get the students to operate those rovers from across Canada, but we've used it on, I believe, 4 continents right now. So we've had students from all across the world operate rovers here in Ottawa, Canada, using the same software that we use for space missions as well. So that's what I'm doing right now, and in addition to my work with Rocket Women.
Wow, my goodness. You have an incredible career story, and you've done some incredible projects too. I really appreciate that. In addition to these incredible projects that you've worked on, that you are also so focused on bringing up the next generation into space. And clearly, even with the work that you're doing now, that is a clear through line in so much of your work. You had mentioned Rocket Women, and I wanted to bring that up as well, because that's been around for over a decade now. So clearly it's something you're passionate about. Tell me a bit more about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, it's a global platform that I created over a decade ago. We've been really fortunate to work with young women around the world. So it's inspired, I believe, thousands of young women to this day across the world to choose a career in science, technology, engineering, and maths. We did this with the aim of improving the current percentage of female engineering and science talent globally. So we're really building a world of the future with everybody at the table, which is so important. And so I started this initially to provide women around the world with a platform to spread their advice and also ensure that their voices are being heard as well. So by featuring these stories of incredible and successful women in STEM alongside our scholarship program as well, we really wanted Rocket Women to give young women and girls globally the realization that they could be anything from astronauts to space engineers to economists to space lawyers, really everything that they aim to be, and also provide them with the opportunities to make that happen as well. So we have an online platform that features the interviews with international rocket women along with advice, and also STEM resources that we found, but also the ones that we've helped to create that align with the curriculums as well. So they enable to and showcase to the next generation the impact that they can make with a career in STEM. And I think one of the things I really wanted to do was make a lasting impact with Rocket Women on society. I think it was really one of the big goals I had when I started this. I think education is a really big part of that, and also empowering and inspiring the next generation alongside making, I think, a tangible difference. And that was through our scholarship initiative. And so we have a scholarship that's currently in support of the International Space University, which is where I was really fortunate to study. And I was really lucky to go there and benefit from the scholarships through other companies as well. That was something that I wanted to do. And so I think representation also really matters. And scholarships, I think, really play a pivotal role in encouraging diverse and really talented individuals to pursue these opportunities in STEM. And so through Rocket Women, we have a scholarship program through our clothing range, and also our pin. We have a Rocket Women pin as well. And the proceeds from that go towards a scholarship for women who study engineering and science. So right now it's for the International Space University's master's program, and that's available to women globally around the world. And I think, as I mentioned, I certainly wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that and study and also live internationally, which can be really expensive without the support, of multiple scholarships. And so I think really making that tangible difference was something that I've always been really passionate about, I think, aside from the educational part and also the empowerment community side of Rocket Women. And I think it's really important to be able to give back in this way. And that can be really, really transformative, I think, to a young woman. I think especially at that stage of your life where you're trying to think about where you want to go, and think having the financial means and financial support is actually a really big part of that. And I think it was through my career, and I've had that from multiple people I've talked to as well.
I can absolutely imagine how transformative that is. And I'm wondering if you have any anecdotes or stories about the impact that you've made. I bet you have a bunch. It might be hard to choose a favorite, but yeah.
Yeah, I do. I recently got a message from a young woman who I believe she's working as a delivery driver, especially during COVID. And I got an incredibly endearing message from her to say that the work that we've done through Rocket Women had inspired her to go and study and work in the space industry. So it's moving from someone who was certainly not in the STEM industry at all. And then during COVID, she's kind of rethinking her career. And I believe I was talking on a podcast as well during that time. So she heard the podcast and she was inspired through that, and also through the resources that we have on our website as well, and the stories that we showcase there of women to go back and study. And now she works in the space industry, I believe in the quantum sector. So it's just an incredible story of somebody that has gone from working a completely different career to just have that spark of innovation, that spark of interest to actually work, and really the hard work that she's put in towards getting into the space industry. But I think having that initial spark is really crucial to do that, and really showcasing the steps of how you do that as well.
Oh, that is incredible, that impact. Wow. My goodness. And I'm just thinking, as you mentioned, I mean, maybe someone will hear you through this podcast and we'll have that kind of keep going. That would be amazing.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? I have to ask, one of the things that my producer had pointed out to me was that you were in a mural recently. Can you tell me a bit about that?
I can tell you about that. So it was wonderful to see. I was really surprised to see that. So I believe it was a mural that's in the UK, in Bradford. So that's part of the LEAP initiative. So I think they're Fueling Futures program as well. And I think it was the artist Stewie is the artist that created that mural. I think they were inspired by a project that Rocket Women and myself had done with Morgan Stanley called Creating Space. And that was really to ensure that the next generation, and that we're looking to the future of the space industry, that it is as inclusive as possible. So everything from spacesuits to what that project was focused on, to AI algorithms and everything that we do in technology. I think technology is crucial to our everyday lives, and making sure that we have everybody at the table as we create that. So the creators of these algorithms and how we train those algorithms, and how crucial they are into everything from job applications to facial recognition algorithms. I think there's lots of different facets of that we need to think about. And I think making sure that we have everybody at the table designing those, and also making sure that we create technology of the future that works for everybody, and is inclusive for everybody, and making sure that representation is there. So I believe that they were inspired by that project and by some of the imagery there to create this incredible mural. It really, I think, is the ultimate representation. I was really endeared and truly honored to see that as well. And so thank you to the artist for depicting myself and the work we did there as well. So it's in Bradford in the UK. So certainly go and see it if you're in the UK, and make a trip to see it. I haven't seen it yet myself, but I'd love to do that soon if I can one day.
I'm sure it was a really delightful surprise. And it's not every day I get to ask someone, hey, you've been depicted in art. What is that like? What a delight. Vinita, thank you so much for telling me your story, the story of Rocket Women, and the incredible impact that you have had. It truly, getting women into STEM is so crucial. As someone who has struggled with that herself, I cannot resonate more with that mission and that message. So thank you for doing what you do. I figure I'll give you the floor. If there's anything I missed that you wanted to tell our audience, by all means.
Yeah, I think what I'd love to emphasize, and I think you can have an amazing impact on the world through a career in the space industry. And I think even if you don't want to work in STEM, there are multiple pathways to get into the space industry. And we showcase those on Rocket Women as well. So from everything from law to business, human resources, marketing, communications, such a big part of this as well. Graphic design, space policy. So just to name a few. So I think it's really important to make sure that message is out there as well, to show people that they can work in the space industry, and it's not just science and engineering and astronauts and rockets, but there's lots more they can do and make a difference. And I think the other thing I just wanted to say, I think with each step in our careers, I think certainly in my career as well, we pave the way a small part of the road that initially didn't really, didn't exist for us when we started our career. And I think I've certainly hoped to do that with some of the work that I do. So I think the work that we do through Rocket Women, I think, is for every young girl and every young woman, I think, imagining her future in the space industry and imagining her future in industries and spaces that weren't initially built for her. And I think it's really important to create your own magic and be your authentic self. And I think that's really what's special. And let's remember what's special about you is what will help you, I think, make you be able to join those industries as well. And that's really your spark. And so I think really believe in your dreams, know that your dreams are valid, and know that you belong in these spaces and in these industries.
We'll be right back.
With over 8,000 threat hunters analyzing over 65 trillion signals daily, Microsoft works tirelessly with the federal government to keep our nation's data secure. This 30-year-plus partnership is driving mission innovation that is secure by design. Whether optimizing your existing defenses or tackling advanced threats with AI, Microsoft gives you the intelligence and the automation you need to defend at mission scale. Let's work together to stay ahead of emerging threats and secure your mission anywhere. Learn more at aka.ms/fedcyber. That's aka.ms/fedcyber.
Welcome back. And you might remember this news bit from last December, so I'm going to jog your memory a little bit. The first tech demo of NASA's deep space optical communications, sending data over 19 million Mars to Earth from the Psyche spacecraft, was a video of, drumroll please, Taters, the orange cat, chasing a red laser dot. Go get it, Taters! And that is audio from the 23-second video that was sent 19 million miles right there. Well, Taters was just the start of tests involving pets. This next time for NASA's two-way end-to-end laser relay system, and this time, astronauts got involved. Well, okay, not them personally, but yeah, they're pets. Photos and videos of the pets of many NASA employees, including astronauts, were sent to and from the International Space Station via laser links. Again, not part of the same program as Taters, but inspired by that adorable orange cat and his deep space optical communications mission. In this case, all those pets were transmitted at 1.2 gigabits per second, which is an entirely respectable, if not actually super impressive data transfer speed, especially compared to most of us with just home internet connections. I mean, I'm lucky if I get half of that speed, to be honest. As for the adorableness that went to space, what else could you expect but more cats? From the very fluffy and chill to some ones with real tortitude. Also, some guinea pigs, bunnies, chickens, cows, pigs, Posey the parakeet, a couple of blissed out horses, an iguana, I'm pretty sure, and of course, last but certainly not least, many, many, many delightful puppies and dogs, including at least one looking a bit confused in a bee costume. All of the pets, 201, assured their humans that after doing some high-speed space travel, that they all really, really deserve some treats. I hope they got them. That's it for T-Minus for June 12th, 2024, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. For additional resources from today's report, check out our show notes at space.n2k.com. And we'd love to know what you think of this podcast. You can email us at space@n2k.com or submit the survey in the show notes. Your feedback ensures we deliver the information that keeps you a step ahead in the rapidly changing space industry. N2K Strategic Workforce Intelligence optimizes the value of your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your team while making your team smarter. This episode was produced by Alice Carruth. Our associate producer is Liz Stokes. We are mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm your host, Maria Varmazis. Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow.
And now, a word from our sponsor, SpyCloud, the leader in operationalizing cybercrime analytics. Traditional threat intelligence is a thing of the past. Cyber criminals are stealing vast amounts of credentials, session cookies, and financial data every day, and it's hard to keep up. SpyCloud is the trusted partner businesses turn to fully understand their darknet exposure risk and neutralize threats before it's too late. SpyCloud alerts your organization as soon as an employee or customer's data appears on the darknet, so you can act faster than bad actors to prevent cyber attacks like ransomware, session hijacking, account takeover, and online fraud. With insights from the industry's largest repository of recaptured data, protect the digital identities and systems most important to your business. Get your free corporate darknet exposure report at spycloud.com/cyberwire and see what information criminals have in their hands today. That's spycloud.com/cyberwire.